In August 2002, ABC News was given unprecedented access to the New York Police Department.
Walking into the unknown. It's always fun.
For the next 16 months, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, a team of journalists accompanied the NYPD into unpredictable and dangerous situations.
Woman got stabbed here, so we're trying to figure out who did it.
Lives are in the balance.
8 million people, 37,000 cops. NYPD 24/7.
I'm Dennis Franz. These days, words like duty and sacrifice might sound old-fashioned, but here at NYPD Blue, we know that's why New York City cops are the best in the business. What we're about to show you in this True Life series from ABC News are the real cops, men and women who put their lives on the line every day. Tonight on NYPD 24/7, Detective Mike Heinrichs, the most decorated cop on the force, thought he'd seen it all until he caught the worst case of his career.
Wednesday News Time 502. It was about as bad a Mother's Day as you can imagine for Ellie Carmichael of Brooklyn after she got a phone call telling her where her missing daughter might be found. When police got to that location, they found a body.
Okay, we're gonna pull the body out, I guess, you know. I'll give you a hand. No problem. No problem.
21-year-old Ramona Moore of Canarsie, Brooklyn, a junior at Hunter College, was reported missing more than 2 weeks ago. This morning, an anonymous caller told her parents to look under an old ice cream truck in an alley just blocks from their home.
She left home and she told me that she was going to the local Burger King.
The victim's mother, Ellie Carmichael, was already at the crime scene when police arrived.
At about 11 that night, I began to get worried. But I just thought she probably might have gone to a friend's house, even though it was unusual for her not to call.
The body is found between a house and that his old ice cream truck.
Detective Mike Heinrichs of Brooklyn South Homicide is briefed by his partner, Sam Ortiz. Heinrichs, who has been shot twice in the line of duty, is the NYPD's most decorated cop.
You're not going to like the scene. Well, you want to look at it, we can unzip it for you.
This was the worst case I've ever been involved in. It was a gruesome find. The body was wrapped, it was tied at the feet and wrapped in a plastic bag, and being she had no clothes, it steps up your suspicion a little bit that there was some sort of sexual assault. You're starting to think, my God, this guy could have really did something horrible to this girl.
To the heels or to the toes?
No, to the heel.
Okay, 5 feet, 3.5.
It looks like it may have been smashed in. Her whole face is gone, between the maggots and everything else.
Her name is Ramona Moore. She's a 21-year-old student at Hunter College, and she disappeared April 24th.
And Bill, what makes this even more mysterious is that the family, which had put up these missing posters, received a phone call telling them where they could find Ramona Moore's body. The police are investigating that as well as they try and track down the person responsible for the killing.
Detectives think Ramona might have been killed here, in this deserted house right next to the alley where her corpse was dumped.
Just see, it's the perfect scenario. You got the abandoned house, the body happens to be right there,
Is there anything around where people been in here hanging, smoking crack or anything?
It doesn't look that way. You poked around upstairs and around, it doesn't really look that way. I think, Mike, I think this is the perfect case for you.
Think so?
Right up your alley.
I do good with these cases, this kind of cases.
Absolutely, I know that's why. That's why I'm saying that.
We need to have a scholarship for her. That's all right, because crying is all right.
A memorial service for Ramona Moore. A time to come together for this close-knit West Indian community.
She was the hardest working girl I had ever known. Ramona was an angel, and she was just getting started. In times like these, we can only reflect on the wonderful memories that Ramona has left with us. We will celebrate the life of our daughter, niece, cousin, and friend. Ramona and her smile will stay permanent in our memories forever. May God bless her soul, and may she rest in peace.
It's not blood on there, or we don't know? It's like water, huh?
Maybe he wrapped her in this, took her outside, and brought her back in again.
You know, brought the plastic back.
Being that the body was there and the house is abandoned, there's not much going on, we started to look at the house. Who's hangs out here, who lives here, who comes in and out type thing.
Police are curious about a man they found cleaning up the property when they arrived. He says he's the caretaker of the abandoned house.
I mean, he could be out here, sucking on the vodka and seen her 100 times, and finally she blows him off, or finally,
The man is brought to the 67th precinct for questioning.
Ever trouble with the police in the past? Any criminal stuff? No problem boozing or drugs or anything like that?
No, I didn't know that.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I go to work every day. I drink after work. I'm not, just asking, Doesn't drink, doesn't smoke crack, doesn't smoke weed, but, it looks like he does, Never been arrested. We're told he has been arrested a lot of times, You have any ideas of what could have happened?
What?
Well, with the girl there, what happened with her?
I have the slightest idea.
At that point, we obviously have no physical evidence that could tie him into the scene. We have no eyewitnesses to what happened. The only way we could find out if he did it is if he actually tells us he did it. But over the past couple of weeks, how many times do you say you were there?
Maybe one time.
In 14 days, you were only there once? If we could prove it happened inside, something's wrong with this guy.
There's cars going by there 24/7. You're carrying a body. You're not throwing it over that wall. You're going to be seen.
This guy's adding up, this guy. I don't want to jump to any conclusion, but he's adding up.
We need to pass a law that says that if you're an adult and you're missing, they should look for you right away. Right away. And we should call that the Ramona Moore Law. And I am going to introduce...
The victim's family and friends are furious with police.
Right away, the child life could have been saved.
Ramona's mother says that when she reported her daughter missing, the police didn't take her seriously. Writing Ramona off is just another runaway. The anger is focused on Wayne Carey, the detective from the 67th precinct who led the 18-day search for Ramona.
I mean, they are going through a grieving process, so they might feel that we didn't do enough. But, I mean, they will see eventually that we did do a lot, and that, we put our heart and soul into this case.
It was total disrespect. All I got from the police was that if my child is out there and she don't want to come back, she don't have to come back. No one came, no one called, no one was... They had already said there was nothing they could do, and there was nothing they would do, because she was 21.
They just brush over us, telling us, look, she's gone somewhere with some male companion, she's an adult. We kept on pleading with them, telling them she's not the kind of person who will do such a thing. We pay taxes like everybody else. Why is there a double standard?
You tell me, you're looking for a 21-year-old girl in Brooklyn. Where do you look for her? They interviewed all the girl's friends. They interviewed any other family members. Like I said, they had the canine unit over there, bloodhounds, and it all came up negative. There's a case, in my mind, you solved this case, period, the end. There's no like, oh, well, or we came up short, we tried. This case gets solved, and that's what we're gonna do. You just can't see anybody bringing the body there.
No, that body came from inside out.
Police returned to the abandoned house on the property where Ramona Moore's body was found. They're looking for signs that she was murdered in one of these rooms.
This is the place.
Well, that's the thing, you got everything you need for what happened in this house.
And everything that you need right in this room, let alone the rest of the house.
If she was murdered here, it could point to the house's caretaker as the killer, but he is adamant that he never met Ramona.
I was curious about the placement of that. We were just talking about that window.
Yeah.
And the proximity to the body. It's just a weird place to secretly dump something when...
It doesn't have that look to it at all. There's no evidence of that around,
They find nothing solid to support their theory about the caretaker. Heinrichs decides to switch tracks. He's now convinced that his best chance of learning who killed Ramona lies with the anonymous caller who told the victim's family where to find her body.
We're going to speak to the family as soon as we can, and we're going to get to the bottom of that phone call.
But the family is still angry at police. They think Heinrich's colleague, Detective Wayne Carey, did too little too late in the search for Ramona.
From speaking to Wayne, I know there was some problems between him and the family, which, like I said, is understandable. They're searching for answers. Why is their daughter missing? Now, who killed her? Why? Why didn't the police do something about it? You know, it's hard. You really want to have the family on your side is what you want to do. You know what? If you got to eat a little crow, you got to roll with some stuff, you do it. But you got to show them how much you do care. Hello, good morning. This is Detective Heinrichs from the 67th Precinct. Is Miss Terry at home? Miss Terry, how you doing? I'd like to come over and speak to you. I have a couple of quick questions to ask you.
Despite their bitterness, Ramona's family agrees to meet with Detective Heinrichs.
I can understand how you're feeling over the circumstances. I just want to let you know, in all honesty, Detective Carey is a good man and worked very hard with this case.
He was very nasty.
He was nasty to us.
Well,
she's a third-year college student. Never miss a day in school. Her grades are A1.
Emotions run high, but the family is ready to answer Heinrich's questions.
There's a man on the other end of the phone?
He told me that he heard a girl screaming a few nights ago.
Okay.
Then he told me something about Snyder Avenue. I was overwhelmed. I was hearing it, I'm not hearing it.
What did he mention about the Snyder Avenue?
He was being very specific. He said they wrapped her up in plastic, and I think they killed her.
You said all that?
He said they had another girl, and they had arrested somebody before, around 58th and Snyder.
It's stunning news. The family told Heinrichs that the anonymous caller said that besides Ramona, a second girl was abducted. That incident took place in this house on Snyder Avenue, where a 15-year-old says she was held captive and raped by two men. When they fell asleep, she managed to escape.
They put a pillowcase over my head, and they just pushed me on the floor and took the strings and tied up my ankles and my arms.
So you was tied up and naked?
Yes.
Police now want to know if the teenage rape victim heard or saw anything that could connect the men who allegedly attacked her to Ramona. The girl speaks with Detective Woody Simmons from the Special Victims Unit.
Were they making any kind of threats to you at all?
They said that if I didn't cooperate, then I would end up like the girl that they had last night because she was feisty and they had to kill her.
They said that they had to kill her?
Because she was feisty.
Did they ever show you this female's body?
No, while I was sitting in a chair, they had tape over my mouth and my eyes. And he said that the girl body was behind me, and he asked me if I smelled it. And so he turned my head and so I could smell it.
And did you smell it?
Yes.
You smelled her?
I don't know it was a funny smell. I don't know exactly what a dead body smelled like. But
The girl's story is a bombshell for police. But were the men just bluffing? Was it really a body the teenager smelled? And if so, was it Ramona?
After that, when this is in the process of her getting put in a chair and bound and duct taped and around the eyes and that, she's got her head turned and the guy twisted her head around and said, don't look, you smell that? You smell that? That's that dead body in there.
Now in a whole new ball game.
I say we can go lock anybody up for a murder right now, but it's getting real close if you ask me, you know what I mean? She's got her head.
One of the teenage girl's alleged attackers, 19-year-old Troy Hendricks, was arrested shortly after she contacted police. He's now in a jail cell on Rikers Island awaiting trial. Police have been unable to ask Hendricks what, if anything, he knows about the disappearance and murder of Ramona Moore.
He's represented by counsel on a pending case. Under the law, we can't speak to him.
The other man alleged to have raped the teenage girl is 21-year-old Kason Pearson. He is still at large.
Where's that rape case? You got it handy?
Yes, that's right on my desk.
Do you have the whole case here, or they have it at Special Victims?
No, I got it. Come on. We got a lot of good stuff.
As he studies the evidence in the teenager's alleged rape, Heinrichs finds striking similarities to Ramona's case.
There's the duct tape used to cut the shoelace.
The girl in that case was duct taped and tied to the feet with shoelaces. Same thing as our DOA. Right. Duct tape and shoelaces. We're thinking from the beginning, crackhead, crack rage, grab a girl, snatch her in the house, bang her out, and try to hide the body. I know. You told me it's two young kids snatching girls at random off the street and holding them hostage, raping and killing them. I think you're crazy. Mm-hmm. This happens in Idaho or some shit. Right.
Lord, I ask that you will help us all to unite. I remember Ramona and other people who, like her, had to go and leave our world and leave us with so much pain.
At the site where Ramona Moore's brutalized body was discovered, her mother and friends gather to mourn her and to call attention to what they claim is police indifference over the fate of a young black woman.
Yeah, we have a petition.
Oh, yes, I'm ready to sign it.
People say cops have a thick skin, you see it all. It hurts you, it bothers you. If it doesn't bother you, if you can't have compassion, if you think, oh yeah, I'm a cop, yeah, whatever, so if it doesn't bother you, then there's something wrong with you. You don't belong doing this stuff. Now comes the tricky part.
As he hunts for Ramona's killer, Mike Heinrich still has more questions than answers. If Ramona was murdered in this house on Snyder Avenue by the same men who allegedly raped the teenager, how did they transport her body nearly a quarter of a mile along a bustling avenue in order to dump it in the yard of this abandoned house?
We're gonna have to canvass this whole thing, have to walk through it, ESU, canine, whatever.
Heinrich thinks he may have found the answer, a back alley that connects the two locations.
There was a direct path from the back of the house to where the body was found, basically a direct path. Ramona only weighed about 90 pounds, and our two all-stars were big guys. Christ.
Fleeing perp guy.
Stay there. Don't move.
Who's in there?
Would those injuries be somehow consistent if they took her out of the basement and somehow got her across the garage and dropped her from that fence?
Heinrichs hopes the medical examiner will support his theory that whoever killed Ramona dragged her corpse through this alley.
What about in the front there? It looked almost like a bite wound.
I processed it.
Do you think it was a bite wound? Or?
I can't say that I have teeth impressions there. Just this one looks semicircular, abraded, and the other one is a little bit less specific.
The hand couldn't have been from dragging across the wall?
The problem with the hand is that she's got these hemorrhages on the back of the hand, right? And right where the injury itself is, just sort of decompositional changes. I don't see any fresh so much decomp there that I can't tell you that there's fresh hemorrhage.
10 years ago, guys on crack could jump people on the street and just beat them to death, but this is something altogether different. Especially if it is these guys, and then 3 nights later, they're grabbing another girl off the street and doing the same thing. It's hard to believe, even for us,
I was thinking about it all night. This is really a vicious murder, because this girl had to have struggled, okay, to get those bruising.
With the evidence now suggesting that Ramona could have been murdered in the house on Snyder Avenue, police obtain a search warrant. Before they even go inside, police find what they think is evidence, a chain that could have been used to bind Ramona.
How that chain didn't wind up in that garbage truck. That was great. Somebody was definitely looking out for us.
And caught in the chain, a blue shoelace.
And she was wearing light blue Pumas when she was last seen.
Detectives start their search in the basement, where the teenager says she was allegedly raped and held captive.
So we're looking for any kind of evidence we get in here. Our DOA, her teeth were, our jaw was all shattered, so we're looking for teeth, blood, whatever we can find.
Pictures on the wall degrading women, a lot of this gangster rap stuff. But these guys were off the hook. They were fantasizing about whatever.
We need to find her hair here, like our victim.
We gotta find her hair or blood.
Right.
Something that we can prove it was her that was here. What are the chances of having 2 of them? Gang shit, stick-ups, selling drugs, but this, 2 guys?
Detective Carey! Must go! Detective Carey! Must go! Detective Carey! Must go!
Friends and relatives of Ramona Moore marched to the 67th precinct to demand that Detective Wayne Carey be fired.
Ramona! Justice for Ramona!
They claim he did not take Ramona's mother seriously when she reported her 21-year-old daughter missing.
If the complexion of Ramona Moore was white, we would have gotten immediate treatment. How dare you say she's out partying? All black people don't hang out partying. If you wouldn't have had such a racist attitude, she would have been alive today. She would have been alive today.
You standing there, you sent 50 officers to Ramona's funeral. Not one officer looked for her. Not one. All we wanted you to do was look for her. She was right there, look for her. Her mother's only child. Her only child, that's all she had. Shame! Detective Carey must go! Detective Carey must go! Detective Carey must go!
It's one side of the story. That's for damn sure. You know, I try to do the best I can. And, you know, there's always going to be someone that's going to second guess you. But I can honestly say I tried my best.
At the house on Snyder Avenue, where detectives suspect the Hunter College student was imprisoned and murdered, police continue to comb the property for evidence. But even before police find anything definitive, their suspicions are bolstered by a young man who lives across the street.
It started to bother me because every time I go to sleep, I'll see the girl's face. So it's like it was somebody just telling me to help, you know what I mean?
After hesitating for days, Raimundo told police about what he saw when he dropped in on his friend and neighbor, Troy Hendricks.
He was telling me a whole bunch of nonsense about he had some girl in the basement, but I didn't believe it. Then after that, he said, say what's up. Say what's up, and he lifted up the cover and I saw this female laying there. Yeah, she had a little bruise. She had bruise on one of her hand and one of her feet. She had bandages on one of her hand and one of her feet. And she was bleeding from the middle of her face, and one of her eyes was swollen. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Yo, it hurt in my head, it hurt in my stomach. I couldn't even think straight.
Raimundo knows Troy from growing up, so he goes across to see Troy, who's in the house alone, and with case on. They go down to the basement, and they see the girl in a chair with a chain around her neck, bound to the chair.
Raimundo walks up to him, and Troy and Kason are boasting to him how they this girl up, and he doesn't believe him. So they both pick up their shirts and show him blood-stained T-shirts that had blood all over them. And at this point, he's still in disbelief, and they bring him down in the basement and show her.
He's basically Raimundo's saying that there's not a whole lot of conversation beyond that we snatched her up and beat her up, and we're basically what his words were f***ing with her downstairs, and then they get her down there and they make her describe the whole events to Raimundo.
They describe her laying in that room, the storage room, in a fetal position, hands bound behind her, chain around her neck and her shoulders. You said they sawed
right. He's
feet
saying,
and hands.
Those are Raimundo's exact words. Sawed her hands and feet.
She had a slit. Troy or Kason sawed her hands and feet.
Right.
Yeah.
Troy tells the victim, tell him why we did this. And she says they did it for fun, to Raimundo. Then he turns around and says, well, what's the difference between us, meaning Troy and Kason, and Raimundo? And she's looking at Raimundo saying, I think he's a nice guy, meaning Raimundo, and I believe he's gonna help me.
Girl was here for 2 full days.
But she was wrong. Raimundo did too little too late.
Cigarette burns on her eyelids, sodomy, everything he said.
Police are now certain that this basement is where Ramona Moore met her end.
The spot I tested, probably all this shit here. It's all blood. See it?
Probably just mopped it up quick, right?
He didn't do a good job, that's for sure. I could see it with my eye. I mean, it's...
There's a saw there. The saw's laying right there. They cut her fingers off with it. They sliced up her fingers with it.
Yeah, saw, hammer, all vice grip, chisel. I think you get your murder weapon out. You can see there's blood on it. I don't know if it was rust or it was blood. That's why I wanted to test it, but it definitely came back with a positive result.
They shattered her jaw completely, almost knocked it off, off her head.
That's more than likely.
Yeah.
We'll send it in and maybe they can match it up.
There's blood all over the floor in that back room. Yep, they just tested it now.
You know what happened, you know? They weren't building birdhouses in the basement. They had a hammer and a saw, and they used it on Ramona. Well, all of us were starting to feel sick. Getting killed is one thing, but when you start to think what could have happened to this girl, what did happen, all of us have worked hundreds and hundreds of cases and never seen anything this horrible.
Troy Hendricks' bedroom is in the basement. His grandmother lives upstairs.
Hello, miss.
Hi, Miss Wallace. We're back.
Do you know if Troy was home during the weekend?
Yes, he was. He was home. What's going on?
Something terrible happened in this home during that weekend.
In this home?
Yes, it did. That's why I'm asking you if you heard anything at all to help us.
I didn't hear anything. I mean, he doesn't make any noise.
Was any of his friends around during the weekend?
He always has people around.
Well, who does he have around?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know his friends' names. I don't know their names.
You have any girlfriends?
He has a lot of girls calling. I don't know girlfriends.
He brings girls here, or does he spend any time with girls here?
There was a girl here.
Okay.
Are you talking about the one that woke you up that night?
Yeah.
I asked her if she could please help me and if she could open up the door. And she said no.
It was not Ramona, but this teenager, the other alleged victim, that woke the grandmother. She says she was trying to escape after her captors had passed out from drinking.
You told her what was happening to you?
Yes.
You told her she helped you, she said no?
Yes.
Okay, what did you do next?
I tried to run past them and get to the other door, but then she came behind me and she started screaming and she woke them up, and I ran up the balcony steps, and one of them came behind me, and then we was tussling and we fell down the steps.
And when you guys fell down the steps, what happened?
I was yelling help while he was trying to cover my mouth, and like he was on top of me and he like pushed me back inside the house.
Does anybody else stay down or spend any time down in the basement where Troy's place is?
No, I sleep down there.
Okay, you sleep down there?
At the time, sometimes.
Did you
I
sleep down there during the weekend?
Oh, God, now I don't know. Because sometimes I sleep up here. I don't know. I probably did.
What do you think happened with the girl that woke you up?
I don't know what happened to her.
Did anybody ever tell you what happened to her?
No. They don't tell me much around here. They protect me. They keep me in the dark.
How about right before that? Was there another girl right before that you saw?
A couple days before?
No, I didn't see anybody then.
She might be just playing dumb and stupid because she is dumb and stupid, you know? I mean, there is a line. When we go back to the precinct now, there'll be a line of people making bullshit, silly complaints against their neighbors because they blocked their car, because they called them up on the phone and cursed at them. It's ridiculous. But they won't call up on one of their neighbors when they see him commit a violent crime. The most frustrating thing is while you're pulling your hair out of your head looking for the girl, these people directly across the street saw and know that a girl's being tied up and held in the fucking basement. And nobody calls the police. Well, where is their head? It's so far up there. I don't know what it is. We would have had Ramona alive, and this girl never attacked if these people would have picked up the goddamn phone. To the folks out there that said I should have run them to police, they talking because they never been in that predicament. So anybody could talk off of words if they not in that predicament. But wait till y'all get in that predicament, then y'all see. I didn't know if I would have said something that they wouldn't have called somebody on the street because they got friends. That's why I ain't do it. That's why I ain't call the cops as soon as I left. Because I was scared. I was scared. So I made my shorty uncle call anonymous. I heard they released the girl that night. So I was like, all right, good. My head is clear. They found the girl. But not knowing that the girl that they found was another girl, not knowing the girl I saw was already dead. I didn't know that, so I thought I helped the girl. But didn't.
On May 10th, the body of Ramona Moore was found dumped alongside an abandoned house, sexually assaulted and murdered. She had been brutally beaten about the face, head, and chest. We are seeking the public's assistance in locating Kason Pearson, a male, black, 21 years of age, 5'11", 160 pounds.
So the gig's up now. Now the hunt's on.
With his alleged accomplice already behind bars, Kason Pearson is now the target of one of the NYPD's most intensive manhunts.
At this point, there's no more pussyfooting around. There's nobody inquiring, but looking to see who it is. It's like he's a murderer, he's a rapist.
Take Mike.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so we had some guys out there banging around the neighborhoods, hitting some more spots, trying to get a positive line on them, or maybe spotting them on the street. You know, it keeps you going, keeps your adrenaline going, you know?
Especially a guy like this, you want this guy, and you want him as soon as you can. This case is probably going to be one of those ones that, you know, I'll probably think about for the rest of my life, you know. That's it. It's a rough one, but, you know, this guy's got to go, and we got to get him, you know.
Police, can you come to the door, please?
We're hitting a couple locations looking for Mr. Pearson over here.
The manhunt for Ramona Moore's alleged abductor and killer, Kason Pearson, swings into full gear.
Now we're like, everybody's pumped up. We got to get this guy. For all we know, he may have another girl in his basement somewhere else.
Police hit dozens of addresses in Brooklyn and Queens.
We have a right to know what y'all coming to ask us about.
Well, we're looking to talk to him. He was involved in something.
Recently?
Yeah.
93. 1993 Bergen, let's go.
1993 Bergen? There's a law that you're supposed to have your address on the front of your door. God forbid people follow it. There's supposed to be two guys in the basement. We're gonna go down and poke around.
Listen, please.
Please.
I'm not getting up my back.
Can you come down to speak to us?
He not related to me.
You got the wrong. You got
know
the
who he
wrong
is?
house.
No,
No, hell no. What time is it anyway? 12?
12. Unfortunately, we work 24 hours a day.
You got the wrong house.
No, that's how my name is spelled, but I don't know this guy.
You don't know who he is?
Hell no. If I did, I don't even know if I would say anything, but I don't know her.
She was honest. She said, even if I knew him, I wouldn't tell you.
Yeah,
She said
how about that? You didn't hear her say that?
Yeah.
If I did know him, I don't think I'd tell you.
I don't know. So that's it. Beaten men. Beaten men. A whole lot of nothing we got. You eliminated all those addresses anyway.
If you got nothing, we got nothing.
Just when detectives think they're at a dead end, they get a tip that Kason Pearson has left the city and is hiding out at his brother's house in Albany, New York.
Wherever he had contact with the police up there.
At the headquarters of the Albany PD, detectives Heinrichs and Carey learn that Kason Pearson has been arrested in this city before on drug charges.
How long ago was that again? That photograph's from 2000. You know, we're more than happy to accommodate you and do what you have to do to get this.
What kind of area is he? Do you know if he could bang around with a couple other young guys from the neighborhood, you know?
His brother, who we had dealings with before, he was, you know, a pretty decent-sized drug dealer up here. But even his brother wasn't a street corner guy. He had, you know, one of the guys, you know, had a vehicle, traveled around that way. Didn't really stand on the street corners. They're both kind of loners. You know, like up here, Brooklyn guys will stay with Brooklyn guys. Queens guys will stay with Queens guys. Bronx guys will generally stay with Bronx guys.
Yeah, it's all Brooklyn people right up and down the street there.
It's like a Brooklyn outpost. Yeah, this is like Brooklyn really north.
Yeah.
As night falls, police move in on Kason's brother's house, where they think the fugitive is hiding.
Hello. Hi, how you doing? We're already police. Can we talk to you for a minute?
That's our payoff, to go put handcuffs on this guy. We're hoping this is it. We put an end to his running and we bring him in.
But Kason is not here, and his sister-in-law says she hasn't seen him in months, stating that she is now separated from his brother.
Yeah.
She also tells police she has a good idea where Kason is hiding.
He has his birth certificate, his social security card, and his some other type of ID. And she said he's been asking for it down in Queens. And then just 2 weeks ago, they sent an email saying send it to Georgia.
The sister-in-law says she thinks he's hiding with his girlfriend in Atlanta, the same woman she said he allegedly assaulted when the couple stayed with her last summer.
He tried to stab her with a goddamn knife. He was punching her in the face and she grabbed the knife and he gonna grab her hand and take the knife and point it at her. He was mad drunk. My kids are crying. He's trying to stab this girl in the chest.
This is Kason's brother's wife's house. His wife is no fan of Kason or her husband. Apparently there was an abusive relationship on here. This woman went as far as to say that Kason's brother had beaten and raped her on several occasions.
The police now have Kason's vital personal documents, the ones he asked his sister-in-law to send to his girlfriend in Georgia.
He's got his GED. Go anywhere with that.
Where was he born?
St. Mary's Hospital, Brooklyn. Borough of churches and hair salons.
Turns out it wasn't the greatest trip in the world, right?
No. Well, it is a great trip because now we know where we're going. I'm sort of convinced. A week ago, email, get his down there for what? It's got to be.
We gotta get on a plane.
The Burrow jet. Have the Burrow jet waiting for us on the runway. You know? Deep south. Let's just say the lovely Mrs. Carey and Mrs. Heinrichs are not going to be too pleased when we drop the hammer on this one. You go, where, when? Then you just, what? You really can't wait with these things. You can't go home and say, oh, I'll take the weekend off and come back on Monday. Once you get information like this, a lot of things can happen. But we have to make a move.
Detectives Heinrichs and Carey have no jurisdiction to make an arrest in Georgia. The local police will be in charge of raiding the house where the alleged killer and his girlfriend are thought to be hiding.
The guy we're looking for, Black.
Yep.
Booker's inside the apartment right next door.
Okay.
He thinks he hears something in the apartment. There was a young black male came up, probably 16, 17 years old.
Right.
Knocked on the door, nobody answered.
Yeah, if he's home by himself, he's probably afraid to answer the door.
And this fucking dude, he had her in the house. She was alive for 3 days, chained up to a chair as this was going on.
Well, let's kind of run some scenarios here.
Mm-hmm.
What if he takes off?
We'll run after us.
Well, we don't really have the authority to do that without a warrant.
Yeah, we're not looking to break the door down, nothing like that.
I understand it's a pretty brutal
Yeah, it's pretty
murder.
bad, right?
Yeah, so
It's a rape. We have a rape for him and a murder also.
So yeah,
2 days apart.
whatever we can do, we're here for you.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, all right, hopefully he doesn't bolt on us.
We can make sure that nobody's going to climb out any of the windows, and we'll put people at front and back. And he's not going to run out if he sees 4 people at the back and 4 people at the front. I mean, he's just not going to run out.
But after all the preparation, police come up empty once again. There is no sign of Kason Pearson, and his girlfriend swears she hasn't heard from him in weeks.
That was more devastating than Albany because it's like, now what? We got nothing now.
Yeah, I really thought he was going to be in there tonight. I thought that email was a home run.
Nah, I'm disappointed and I'm shot down, you know, in all honesty. I'm exhausted. Wayne's exhausted. We're all exhausted, you know. I've been running for a week straight, basically, and we had a couple things to pump us up, and now it's a little bit of a letdown. Yeah, sleep would be nice. Sitting home, actually at a table. I like to sit at a table and actually eat, you know? Instead of walking around with a slice of pizza or a chicken wing, I like to sit at a table, you know, my wife and kids, and or even eat slugs.
Detectives were hoping the flight back to New York would be a chance to rest, but even this failed to go as planned.
They introduced us to the Sky Marshals. They told us they may have a situation on board.
You know what they tell us? 3 Middle Eastern guys, one-way tickets, paid cash for it. Air Marshal said, lay low if something happens. Can believe that?
I'm not worried about the guy pulling out a box cutter. Then we'll just send them back to Oller in a box. But I'm worried about, you know, who knows if there's some sort of explosives or something they got, you know?
Paid cash, one-way ticket. What more do you need? And Middle Eastern. I don't give a shit about this profiling crap or not.
Can't even close your eyes on the plane. You're wondering what the hell's going on. Are these guys going to pull something? You're going to get involved with the marshals or something?
For 2 weeks, there are no fresh leads on Kason Pearson's whereabouts.
So we got the Georgia guys looking out for that. We got the Albany guys looking out for that. We got Queens going. We got the guys out here looking, waiting for a tip or hopefully some sort of break, you know?
And sure enough, they get it. Friends of Kason Pearson's are disgusted by the crime. They give police an address in Yonkers where they are certain the fugitive is hiding.
But once they learned that it was a brutal, you know, rape, abduction, torture, they were like, all right, let's go, I'll take you right to him, which is like never happens.
And this just into the 1010 Wins newsroom. Police in Yonkers say 21-year-old Kason Pearson was shot in the leg and arrested during a Wednesday morning raid at a Yonkers apartment.
You want to say anything?
I'm not a rapist. How about that?
He wanted the cops to kill him. Plus, he wanted to put an end to this. He was barricaded inside a bedroom. As they got into the bedroom, he came out of a closet with a knife at them, and they fired 2 rounds at him, hitting him 1 time in the leg.
What's your story?
He had no place to put his head down. He really has no family. His ultimate goal, he said, was to go to Mexico. But he had no way of getting there.
For detectives, the capture of Kason Pearson brings another homicide case to a close. But for the mother of Ramona Moore, there is only sadness.
If someone is missing, I don't care what age they are. If someone tells you that their loved one is missing, then the police should then act quickly.
It's unfair. That's the only thing we work for, is we work for the victim's family. You know, to try to bring them closure. They have nothing else. But what can you do? There's nothing you can do about it, you know? I mean, there's an old saying, you know, they told us in the academy, you know, you want to be a hero, go join the fire department.
Troy Hendricks and Kason Pearson, the two men charged with Ramona Moore's murder, will face trial later this year. Prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty.